Hello, everybody, and welcome to another brand new episode of the Jedi Way here on the Outlaw Nation channel. I am one half of this contingent, the Outlaw John Rocha, joined as always by the better half for sure on the show, Laura Kelly. Laura, how are you?
Hi, I'm amazing. I'm the other half, Laura Kelly. I was waiting for the back and forth of the Geek Buddies, where we'd be like the Jedi Way, because I was just watching an episode of the Geek Buddies, so I had it in my head, and then we didn't do that, so it's fine.
But how are you? I mean, have you recovered from D23? That's what we're going to be talking about here on the show. We got some breaking news to get into as well, but it feels like the season of Star Wars is ramping up here, Laura. We got so much coming over the next few months. So, like, coming out of D23, what is your overall feeling now as we glimpse so many Star Wars properties and projects coming to fruition finally?
I am getting very excited. I'm also somewhat relieved that some of these release dates have been shifting a little bit. I was getting a little bit scared about having to cover two things at one time, getting a little bit overwhelmed. So I'm glad that they've rearranged a little bit. Yeah. But yes, I'm very excited for gearing up for like getting more Star Wars on screen and for the return of the High Republic. Phase 2 is coming soon. I've got that on the docket. So all good things coming up Star Wars, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, we're on the precipice of ANDOR coming out on the 21st as we're recording this. And I think both of us have gotten the first 4 episodes. I have not watched them yet. I will be watching them for sure later on tonight or in the morning tomorrow. But I'm excited to dive into them and just enjoy them. And, you know, I looked at the schedule and I was like, my God, ANDOR, She-Hulk, House of Dragon, and Rings of Power are all going to be at the same damn time.
I don't envy you.
So it's like, I think my TV is going to have smoke coming out of it. So I'm very much looking forward to it for sure. And we're going to get into so many things coming out of D23 and some breaking news as well. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Jedi Way. Please make sure you hit a like on this video, hit that like button, and leave a comment as we go along down below about the things that we're going to be covering and talking about here. So Laura, where shall we start first?
I think maybe we just start with where D23 started when it comes to the Lucasfilm panel. We started with Tales of the Jedi. Yeah. Now, I can't remember. Were you at this panel at Star Wars Celebration?
Yes, at Star Wars Celebration, I did sit in on this panel for a little while before I had to take off. But yes, I was able to see some of the stuff. But clearly, the trailer we got, clearly the more information that we got was much more than we got, I think, at Star Wars Celebration. So I was very excited coming out of this one.
Yes, I think that I'm fairly certain this is a different trailer than what we saw, because I do not remember seeing a couple of these very cool, very important moments in time that were shown in this trailer. At that panel, we also got to watch the first episode of it, which was great. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I did not get to see the first episode. I left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Damn. All right. Well, it was, if I remember correctly, and I didn't time it, I think it was about 10 minutes long. But what we saw was basically, I think, that first shot in the trailer, which is wee little baby Ahsoka and her mother, who is voiced by Janina Gavankar. And it was a really, really great experience. I kind of went into that panel being like, I'm not really sure what to expect from this. I'm glad I got into this one, but I kind of wasn't like, it wasn't one of the ones I was like really gunning for. And then by the time I left, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so cool. I can't wait. So I love that we finally, now everybody got to see this trailer. Yeah. Everyone got to see that we're very much in sort of the vein of like the Clone Wars in terms of animation style and design. And the fact that we're going to get, half Ahsoka and half Dooku. I think this is gonna be a real winner. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I was really excited to see more of what we're going to be getting for both of these stories. And look, we just got those I Am Groot shorts that were like 5 minutes, and they were such a joy to experience. So I like the shorts route. Unlike my compatriot on the Geek Buddies, Michael Vogel, I enjoy the shorts. I like that we're doing shorts. It's a nice way to keep you still connected to the story, kind of get a little more information on the side for these characters. And with Ahsoka, it's just going to flesh out even more of the legend of Ahsoka Tano, make us enjoy her more. Certainly the move she's being taught by Anakin in the trailer is the move we see her use in Clone Wars. So it's nice to get a little bit of the origin of that move as well. But for me, what stood out was the stuff with Dooku, because I'm just like, are we retroactively trying to redeem him a little bit? Do they have plans for Dooku down the road? that, of course, Christopher Lee won't be involved with, but another actor might step in? Is there a reason they're going back to kind of give us Dooku and his journey? Because clearly both of these people, both Ahsoka and Dooku, are breaking away from the Jedi Order in completely different ways. Ahsoka refusing down the road to be part of the Council and walking away from the Jedi to be her own kind of gray Jedi, for lack of a better term, and Dooku completely turning his back on the Jedi to become a member of the dark side. So that is going to be fascinating. Is his desire for revenge so strong, or his desire to fight so strong that it pushes him into the darkness? Is that the lessons they're trying to teach us? And look, you'd have to stick your head in the sand to not see what's going on in our world politically and not think the creators are kind of imbuing their work with some subtle messages about what we're seeing and how people are reacting to what's going on in our world. So I think Star Wars has always kind of reflected that in a way. So I think it's interesting to see that there's some symbolism as you're watching the trailer and the paths that both of these main characters of the shorts are going to be walking.
That's a really good point. And I really didn't kind of make that connection that there was going to be some sort of real world elements, or at least that sort of reflected in this new show. And I think that's a great addition. I mean, when you think about how the genesis of the show is just Dave Filoni drawing on napkins on airplanes to getting to like where we are now with it, like that's incredible.
Yeah.
And so I'm very excited to see how the rest of these shorts play out. I'm a little bit concerned because I feel like there were some rumors that maybe we are doing a little bit of like retconning with the Dooku audio drama.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep an open mind with this because my whole thing, I don't think that this is like the oh gosh, what was the anime Star Wars show? I'm like blanking right now.
Star Wars
Visions.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to be as like loose in terms of the canon as Star Wars Visions was, where it could kind of be taking place at any time.
Right.
Clearly, we know the time period that these characters were placed in, but the impression I feel like I kind of took away from the panel, and maybe this wasn't right, or maybe I'm just misremembering, is that this isn't necessarily like a hard line drawn in the sand of this is canon.
Right.
It was kind of like, these are just kind of fun stories that Dave Filoni thought would be cool to tell. And somebody else clearly agreed with him and threw some money at this project. And here we are. Right. So I think I'm going to sort of approach it with an open mind in that aspect and not read too much into it of we're retconning Dooku Jedi Lost. We're drawing the line and making this a hardcore, this is canon, this is how it happened. Like it's just not how Star Wars is meant to be interpreted, I don't think. So I'm going to try and approach it with that sense of things.
Yeah, because I mean, we're getting Mace Windu and Yaddle in here. So it's not like they're doing random characters. These are characters that have a place in canon. So it's an interesting line to be walking. And I think what you point out is something to consider. And I wonder if they're going to have an official statement about it once these episodes air, whether they are canon or not. And as you know, and it's interesting to hear you say what you're talking with Dooku. Like, I just do you think it's odd that they chose Dooku to be the other main character of these Tales of the Jedi? Like, do you see a future for Dooku that they're going to revisit and explore more? Or, you know, what do you anticipate with this? I mean, we're getting in Rings of Power Galadriel as a young woman. So are we getting, or a young elf rather, are we getting this Dooku stuff to kind of set us up for maybe a Dooku tangent, a Dooku line here, or a show down the road? What do you think?
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that, but and I can totally see how they could potentially be going that direction, because when it comes to the audio drama Dooku Jedi Lost, I mean, we're making a lot of jumps between, like, from chapter to chapter in his life. Like, it's not a linear story. Like, we're going to jump a couple of years maybe in between chapters some of the time in that story. So there's obviously a lot of blanks that you can be filling in, and maybe that's what the show is doing. Maybe it's changing some of the events that happen in that book or the drama. I don't know. But I think setting Dooku up for something like that could be really interesting. I mean, clearly Rings of Power is having some success with that. So if that's going to be the direction they go, I'm totally on board for it.
Literally, what's old is new again, right? Yes. I mean, like, we're going back in time with House of Dragon, back in time with Rings of Power, and now kind of back in time with Tales of the Jedi, with both Ahsoka as a younger Jedi in training, and then with Dooku. So yeah, I'm gonna be so interested to see what stories we get out of these shorts. I mean, I'm very excited to watch these, and hopefully in one sitting if they release them all at the same
Yes.
time. So
And
yeah.
they are. I believe all 6 episodes are due to drop on Disney Plus on October 26th. So
Oh,
we will get to binge all of them.
wow. It's a busy birthday weekend, that's for sure. I got a lot to do. There we go. Real quick, let's stop for a second here. This is some breaking news that we've got here, Laura. I want to get your thoughts on this. Disney has removed Rogue Squadron from its release calendar. You know, the film that was had its whole promotion with Patty Jenkins on some rollerblades talking about her dad and all this stuff. And then, of course, right after Wonder Woman 1984 came out, it was pretty much universally not liked, although there were some people who defended, like our friend Mike Kalinowski. Overall, wasn't received that well. Patty seemed to be wanting to go back to the Wonder Woman well and prove that she can do a better film, and Wonder Woman 3 is what she's been focused on. And so Rogue Squadron kind of was shelved for a little bit, but there was always the anticipation that it was going to come back. Now it's been removed completely from its release schedule. And it was considered to be a tentpole picture. It was supposed to come out on December 22nd of 2023. But now it seems like we're not going to get a Star Wars film until 2025. And some other films were moved around, like Snow White and Inside Out 2 and the Mufasa the Lion King sequel were moved around to take some of these spots. So what's your reaction to this being shelved? I mean, we're getting this news also, what, a week or two after Rian Johnson said, oh yeah, my trilogy is still happening as far as I know. So what's your thoughts on this when you hear this news? Is it dead?
Well, you know, I'm a little bit bummed to hear this news because I was very excited about the prospect of a woman getting to direct a feature Star Wars film.
Absolutely.
But, you know, when it comes, I feel like we got this same news when it comes to Rian Johnson's trilogy. And he's like since come out and been like, no, this is still a thing. I just have like other stuff I'm working on. Like, we'll get there. And I think that we eventually will. So maybe it'll be the same situation with this, but I'm bummed in a sense in that I wanted to see a film directed by a woman in the Star Wars universe. However, we've gotten a lot of great, you know, women taking part in the Star Wars Disney Plus series that we've been getting. So I'm not saying the void has been filled, but at least we've made progress in some of these other areas. And Star Wars seems to be doing really well with this sort of streaming program going forward. So I think that if we're going to keep our focus on that, you know, I think that I can go without a Star Wars on the big screen for a little bit personally. And also, you know, when it comes to like Rogue Squadron and being an entire movie about like pilots and potentially even drawing some of its influence from like the Rogue Squadron video game that I didn't play, I'm like, I don't know if this isn't really any huge loss for me personally, in terms of the actual story. So that's kind of where I stand. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I agree with you. It has shades of the Rian Johnson stuff. I'm on record, and Star Wars, the Star Wars News Net people, the Resistance broadcast people, I say very clearly that I don't think that Rian Johnson trilogy is going to happen. I know he's saying all this stuff that it's still in the works. Maybe they're just saying, okay, let's keep this as a possibility in case we need it down the road, which is, of course, your right to do as a studio. Your right to work with a gentleman to see if he can come up with an idea that you really like. Patty certainly liked him and is a fan of Last Jedi, or else she wouldn't have even proposed the trilogy before the movie had even come out. So certainly she had a really nice working relationship with Rian. So that kind of keeps him still in play. The Rogue Squadron situation has connections to that, but I also think that maybe they're going to move on from Patty if they do this. I don't know if Patty's going to be the one that they turn to down the road. I think that Wonder Woman 1984 thing messed up a lot of people in their heads about the situation more than we think. And look, it isn't like Kathleen Kennedy doesn't have a track record of pulling people off movies when she senses they're not the right director, or they've released a terrible film that might kind of stain their Star Wars release. We saw that with Trevorrow. We've seen this with other directors, certainly pulling Lord and Miller, who have never not done a good job with their projects, off of Solo to go in another direction. And we have Andor about to come out. Remember Rogue One, she changed directors on that as well. So she has a propensity to do this when she thinks it's not the right situation. So I would not be surprised if we eventually hear that Patty's not going to be doing Rogue Squadron and someone else is going to be doing Rogue Squadron, because it's too cool of a project to shelve forever. You've got to do this at some point I think it'll excite the fan base big time. And you just got to find the director you believe in. It could be Patty, but I have a feeling that this is the beginning of moving her off of this and then looking at someone else to do it, which I agree with you, Laura. It would be nice to have a female directing a Star Wars film, just like it would be nice to have a female directing a Star Trek film, which was going to happen with S.J. Clarkson, then it didn't happen. But we are seeing Bryce Dallas Howard and other female directors step in to direct these episodes. And these episodes are very cinematic. So, you're not getting, that kind of low-level TV type approach to these. These series are very cinematic. So you're getting some really great art from these female directors. So hopefully down the road, it will be a female director directing some of these Star Wars films.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. One more thing, Manny Jacinto, real quick, who some people might know from The Good Place, has been cast in the series, The Acolyte here, from Leslie Headland. And this is an interesting thing to cast him. I love another Latino stepping in. I'm all for it, for sure. This is so cool. And we'll be joining Amanda Stenberg and Jodie Turner-Smith, who were announced recently. So what's your feelings on this? A lot of people think The Acolyte is going to be badass, and it's got clearly a diverse cast now, even more so. So what are your thoughts on Jacinto coming in here?
Every single piece of news that we get about The Acolyte makes me even more excited than I originally was for The Acolyte. And I was very excited from the get-go because the premise alone was this is the end of the High Republic. And I want to see all that go down because that era is such an amazing, it's very special storytelling. And I am very curious to see how they bring the whole thing tumbling down in the show. This actor I wasn't super familiar with. I didn't watch The Good Place, but I did see him in the Hulu show 9 Perfect Strangers, which I think me and approximately 4 other people watched. And it was very underrated. I highly recommend it. I thought it was great.
The Nicole Kidman one, right? Is that the one?
Yes. Nicole Kidman was in it. Right. Yes. Playing a total weirdo. It was awesome. And, here we are talking about, women helming these Star Wars projects, and Leslie Headland, the fact that she came off of Russian Doll in that show was, I think, seemingly an immense success.
Yeah.
I think that there's no way that this can't go well. I'm very excited about the very diverse cast announcements that we're getting for this. And I'm hoping that those kind of just keep coming. And I'm hoping that we find out soon that this show has started filming, because I don't think it has yet, from what I understand.
No. So I would be excited to see when it starts shooting as well, because the details of all of this stuff is being guarded pretty strongly. So they have not started shooting just yet. And Headland is the director, writer, executive producer, and showrunner. So a lot of hats that she'll be wearing on this one, and rightfully so, considering the success of Russian Doll, the 2 seasons that are on Netflix now. All right, let's get back into some of the D23 stuff. Laura, what's next?
Should we talk about Andor next?
I absolutely would love to talk. Speaking of diverse casting, let's do it.
Exactly. So we got a new trailer for Andor, which is really exciting. However, there was not a ton of new content. I don't feel like there were a ton of new shots that were shown in this new trailer, but I'm very excited that we got it nonetheless. I don't know if you saw the 9-minute clip that was posted on Disney Plus Day on Disney. Like, that was a really great preview. I was kind of hoping that we would get to see like maybe another clip from the show as opposed to another trailer that had content we've already seen in it, but I'm happy nonetheless because I'm very excited for this show. The prospect of Tony Gilroy stepping in off of the success of the Bourne trilogy and stepping into Star Wars and bringing that whole vibe into a Star Wars show, just on the surface, is very exciting for me. So I'm some of the stuff that they talked about in this panel was really great. I mean, they talked about how, I think Gilroy talked about how Andor's, he's kind of approaching it like a 24 episode spy thriller, which just like, same page. I am here for it.
I mean, I loved what Diego Luna had to say when he said it was the awakening of a revolutionary. Like, that for Latinos, that there's a real kind of connotation to that, because our countries have suffered through many revolutions, and for better or worse, in terms of the results. And so when he says revolutionary, there's real levels to that word, and so certainly there's an American Revolution, there's a French Revolution. So it's not like it's only with Latinos, but when Latinos hear that word, Hispanics hear that word, there's a real meaning to it. You know, there's levels to it. And so I like that. And he's made it very clear that this is an immigrant or migrant story. This is them getting together to overthrow this empire. And we've seen a lot of footage, the new trailer, the 9 minutes, all of that just really hinting at what's going to happen. So it feels like this is the slow development of this entire movement. And it might be a foundational series when it's all over to show us how the rebellion was formed and how the rebellion came to be and how the many ways that Cassian Andor was essential in how the rebellion was able to eventually take on the Empire in the original trilogy movies and bring about the death of Darth Vader. So these are fascinating things to explore, and I love that it's all here, you know, and I'm so looking forward to seeing what we're going to get and jumping into these 4 episodes that we both have gotten and seeing how much of that really has these connections with real world revolutionary approaches or overthrowing of governments that have happened in a number of Latino countries for decades in the history of our world. So I love that that's an element of this as well. And I really love that Solar said, that the character is joining a wonderful history of villains you love to hate in Star Wars, because that means I've got enough confidence that what I've created with this character is going to be something you all are going to love, but also hate at the same time. So that's a really smart way to pitch before the character's even seen by most people. A really smart way to pitch how people could receive your character for sure.
Exactly. That character, just with that line alone, I'm like, oh, I'm here for this. Like, I've got lots of villains in Star Wars that I love. I don't necessarily love to hate them. I just kind of love them. And I think that's okay.
Yes.
But, you know, another element in Star Wars that I really enjoy is anything even sort of close to like a will they, won't they romance. And it almost kind of sounds like Adriana Ariana?
Yeah.
Who's playing Bix, that we're gonna have a little bit of that. She talked about on the panel about how they're kind of opposites, and you know, he's kind of this like unstable wild child, trying to find his place in the galaxy, and she just wants to have a normal life. So you can kind of feel that there's been some history there, and she talks about how you can feel that there's trust that's been broken. So clearly these two characters have a history, and I'm really curious to see how it sort of plays out over these 24 episodes.
Yeah, I agree. And we've seen already in Rogue One how Cassian is willing to do what needs to be done to get out of a situation, to get the information in the situation. So I'm sure there's a feeling from Bix that, you know, this guy's willing to do whatever. He could even turn me in or turn one of my family members in if it furthers the cause. So I imagine he is just as adamant to not be a part of the rebellion as he will be adamant to be in the rebellion once he's in the rebellion. One of those personalities that if you get it turned in the right direction is 100% all about you. And so that's why it takes so long to turn him, because once he focuses in, or he or she focuses in, you're getting all of their best, but also all of their proclivities to win at all costs or to succeed at all costs, because there's a bigger picture here that they're embracing. So yeah, I like that, the on again, off again type situation. And I'm curious, what kind of normal life are you going to have with the Empire in control of things? So
right,
I find that to be an interesting kind of approach to things for sure. So you wonder what her part in the rebellion is going to be, and the extent to which she's going to be involved, and how that affects her relationship with Cassian, because clearly she's not around in Rogue One. So what does that mean as we go in leading into Rogue One, these 24 episodes? What does she end up ultimately being by the end of those 24 episodes? It's going to be real curious to see.
Exactly. And I think, you know, another character that's not in Rogue One or anywhere else in Star Wars is Fiona Shaw.
Yeah.
And she was revealed in the captions of this trailer as a character named Marva Andor. I don't know if we knew her last name before this. Yeah. So I'll be curious to see how this plays out, because Diego Luna is clearly Latino.
Yes.
She's clearly not Latina, and she does not have the same accent in any of the lines that we've heard from her as Diego Luna. So I'm excited to see sort of what the relationship is here, and sort of what the push and pull between the two of them is going to be, because she had some of those really iconic lines in the trailer, you know, basically being like, this is the beginning of a reckoning. So what role is she ultimately playing in this story that ultimately leads to the building of a rebellion. I'm curious to see.
Yeah, look, hey, there's a thing, and I'm trying to, I'm making this connection, and I could be way off base, but remember, if you look at your history, and if you know the Malcolm X movie, the idea of X that was used by a number of people in the Black Muslim movement to replace their last names as a way of rebelling against having the names of their former slave owners in the heritage of their lives. And so that was a way to fight back. Is Andor essentially an X? Is that a thing to kind of cover? Or is there some kind of real legitimately blood relation between them, or familial connection? Was she married to maybe Andor's uncle? And so she's his aunt. And so she takes the name, but she's not Latina. A lot of questions, a lot of ways this can go. But I will say this, and I'll risk getting in trouble. I love Fiona Shaw. So if she's a grande dame of acting. So if she's going to play a little bit Latino, I'm okay with it. Just like it would be with Tilda Swinton playing what she played in Doctor Strange. I was okay with it because some people reach a certain level where they're not seen through that prism. And I feel like Fiona Shaw, who I've loved for many, many years and once taught me in a workshop, I think she's amazing. And so for her to be able to embrace this character and be this character, I don't think I'd have a problem with it, to be honest with you. Not that there aren't amazing Latina actresses that could have played the role. So we'll see. We're just speculating. We have no idea what her role is going to be and why she has the last name of Andor like Cashin does. So curious, very curious.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So we're going to get a 3-episode premiere this coming Wednesday, September 21st.
Are we ready?
Very excited. Yeah, we're here. We're finally here.
I don't know if we're ready, man. I don't know. This is, Campia already broke the embargo and threw his ideas out there. And of course, we're going to get the review embargo up in a few days. But a lot of people have speculated who've gotten to see these episodes early. Some people did because they were part of the press conference, that this is some of the best Star Wars that we've ever seen. So that is getting me excited. And I wonder if people are ready for that. And I would like to encourage anybody who's watching us who hosts Star Wars shows, for the love of God, get Latino, Hispanic people on there to at least be a guest to review this. Because if we're telling a migrant story, 3 or 4 white people are not going to be able to understand or really grasp some of the levels that this show is working in and at. And I would encourage you all to find a way to bring on some of your compatriots like Ace Cabrera and others to review. Of course, I'll be doing it on Geek Buddies, hopefully with Laura Kelly joining us. So, but there's other places and other people out there who would be willing to jump on your show, I'm sure, to review it. So I'm just throwing that out there.
I would like to second John Rocha and Ace Cabrera, because Ace has already seen these episodes. Yes. And I texted me a while ago being like, have you seen this yet? Poor guy got to see him and then had nobody to talk to about him. So people invite Ace Cabrera on your show because he's raring to talk about Cassian Andor.
Sure he is. Yeah. I'm sure the real rejects don't have a contract with Ace that would limit him from being on other things. So absolutely.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. And that's coming, as Laura said, on September 21st. Let's move on to some Bad Batch. What do we got here, Laura?
We didn't get any kind of trailer or footage or anything at D23, but we did get, yet again, another release date push. I don't think this is the first one we've had with the season of this show, unfortunately. Yeah. Any day now, maybe they'll actually stick to the release date for the Bad Batch. But for now, we have moved back to January 4th, 2023. We know we're going to get a 2-episode premiere. We did get to see a decent amount of footage of the Bad Batch at Star Wars Celebration. I know you weren't there that day, but I got to see a decent amount of what, let me think. They showed a clip. I want to say it was a 5-minute clip.
Okay.
And some of that clip was featured in the trailer that we also saw at Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
And the trailer, there's been a trailer, I think, that has since come out. It just wasn't revealed. There wasn't any additional, information revealed at D23. But, I was talking at the beginning about how I'm sort of worried about overlap between Andor and Bad Batch. And now I have to worry, I think, about overlap with the Bad Batch and with Mandalorian season 3. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know if I can't win.
I say this all the time. Remember when people were debating whether we should have 2 Star Wars films in the same year? Look at all this stuff that's happening, both animated and live action. all around the same time or within a compressed amount of time. That's just the way it is. There's a demand, and they've been doing so well on these series. You're seeing that they know that this is where their bread is buttered, and so they want to keep going down this path, even though it can be a bit overwhelming for Star Wars fans to catch up with all of it, for sure. So, but yeah, but I'm excited. I mean, they pushed it to January. I think this one feels like it's gonna stick. This one feels like it's gonna stick. It's very close. It was supposed to be September, but now it's January. I hope this stays, because I mean, I think it was even supposed to be earlier this year that the second season was supposed to debut. So it keeps getting pushed, but maybe it's just to make space for Andor, make space for other things, and then boom, we'll get it there to coincide with the Mandalorian. And maybe there are connections going in the Bad Batch that might connect up to the Mandalorian, which is maybe why they wanted to kind of make them a little bit closer to themselves, to each other. We shall see. It's not the first time Star Wars has connected stuff up that has stuff happening within each of the series that are connected to the series that are happening at the same time. So yeah, I'm cool with this. I'm cool with this. I'm looking.
Anything that you're wanting to like specifically see in the Bad Batch season 2? Anything you're hoping for? We know that Omega's going to be older. I don't know exactly how many years older, but was definitely older in the footage that I saw.
Yeah. Well, it feels like we're getting with Andor and with this show. We're getting a little bit of the background of the rebellion, even more of the background of the rebellion. And so seeing how, Andor gets turned in the series, we're going to see how the Bad Batch get closer and closer to becoming a part. Because I mean, that was a great finale to season 1. And so now we're going to see how they slowly have come to be a part of how they become a part of. So to me, I want to see more of the interpersonal dynamics of these characters as this starts to happen for them. Yeah, can we get guest stars? Sure, that's all going to be fine. But, where I live and breathe in Star Wars is the interpersonal connections. What is happening? How are they changing? How are they challenging each other? How many people go along and don't go along with what the leader thinks, or Hunter thinks, or what, where's Tech on this? Where's Wrecker on all of this? Where's Omega on all of this? So I'm just going to be fascinated to see how they slowly work their way to being part of the rebellion, and what that price is once they decide to be part of the rebellion. What price are they going to pay? So for me, that's what I'm looking forward to. Adventures would be great. Cameos would be great. But, make me connect with these characters and how they're built psychologically and emotionally, and see how they're accepting or rejecting this idea of moving towards being part of the rebellion. So, yeah.
Exactly. And we learned at the very end of last season that Crosshair had, in fact, removed his inhibitor chip.
Yeah.
So let's dig some more into that. I want to see where we are with Crosshair, and if there's any sort of debate happening in his mind, or sort of inner torment of like what he's done and what he's doing. I would also be down for more Hera and Chopper content in the Bad Batch, obviously. So definitely. If we bring that back, I'm in.
I love that too. Absolutely. All right, let's move on to Skeleton Crew. There wasn't much. We did get a picture of Jude Law, right? And we got more conversations with John Watts about what's going to happen, but not too much was shown, right?
No, not too much was shown. And Jude Law, I don't know why they had him come out for like all of 3 minutes or something, like whatever it was. He was very he was there and then he was gone, and basically it was just like, yeah, I'm very happy about this. But I love this photo that they released, because number one, I love a man in a scarf, and he's rocking this sort of green rebellion, sort of almost like Jyn Erso type of scarf. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's awesome. And this, the sort of background is very blurry in the photo, and I think, purposely like that in the original. And then for whatever reason, we've got the gatekeeper droids that are like outside of Jabba's palace, poking in from the side. Sorry. And I'm not sure what's happening in this photo. It looks like they are using maybe the volume again. I feel like that might be what we're looking at here, which I know a lot of people sort of walked away from Kenobi not totally thrilled with how the volume worked and was executed in that show. Sure. I can only hope that they're, it's sort of a ever evolving form of technology, and it's worked very well in The Mandalorian. So I'm hoping that, we'll eventually get some redemption for the volume, and maybe it'll come in this show.
Yeah, I love the shot. It just, the smirk on his face. There's that confident swagger, dare I say, Han Solo smirk on his face. And if anyone's going to evoke Han Solo, Jude Law can do that with his eyes closed. So having his look and having the kids in the background, you love that, because in essence, he's kind of leading them in this situation. So that's going to be cool to see. And I mean, how much joy must you feel as a child actor or as a younger actor that you're getting to work with Jude Law on something like this that's Star Wars. So it's going to be cool. I think this is going to have a great vibe to it, a fun vibe to it. John Watts did incredible with those Spider-Man films. So that gets me even more excited that he's going to know the right tones to hit throughout this whole series to make them feel young adult, but also adult at the same time. So I'm just so looking forward to seeing yet another new approach to Star Wars. And so that's going to be so much fun. And yeah, it's weird that he only came out for that, but I mean, maybe they were running low on time and they had to compress it, and Jude gets paid either way. So what does it matter to him? He don't care.
Well, maybe he was there the other day that they were announcing the like Peter Pan movie. Isn't he going to be playing Captain Hook?
Yeah, he is
in something.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he could have been around for lots of things, and maybe that was part of it.
I'm sure.
Yay! Welcome to Disney, Jude Law.
Yeah, definitely. All right, what's next?
Next, we have AHSOKA, the live-action AHSOKA series. Again, no trailer, no video footage shown, but
which is different from Star Wars Celebration because they did show some stuff at Star Wars Celebration.
Yes, we did get some stuff at Star Wars Celebration, and funny enough, you can still find that footage on the internet in some places. And but I do remember from that footage, that we saw part of this shot that was from this photo that was released. So the photo is basically live action Sabine standing with her helmet off and a bag at her side, looking at the mural of the Ghost Crew that she painted at the very end that was shown in the epilogue of the Rebels finale. So we had like a sort of tighter shot of that shown at the very end of the AHSOKA footage that was shown at Star Wars Celebration. So it's nice to sort of get to see the wider version of this photo and really kind of get to see. It's blowing my mind, the fact that we're getting this Rebels content in like photo real. I just like, my mind is so blown I can barely speak. I'm so excited for this. I cannot wait. When I looked at the sort of compared the shot to the original animated series, that bag even that she's holding is like the same type of bag that Sabine had in the Rebels epilogue, and I'm just like, perfect. This is perfect. Keep going, and I will be along for the ride the entire time. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, look, what can I tell you? I'm very excited. A lot of people are into it right now. The footage that was shown at Star Wars Celebration was cool. The images, a few people posted images. Christian Harloff, our friend, posted an image of Rosario Dawson in live action. There was a shot they put up. Sorry about that. There was a shot they put up, and it looked awesome. So I was very happy to see that. And so this, to me, I think there's a vibe here. And I think Favreau said that this is like his Filoni's magnum opus of what he's going to do with AHSOKA. So everything that people have been dying to see live action in their fantasy dreams about AHSOKA live action, I think is going to come to fruition here in this series. And we'd be remiss not to mention that the reports are that actor Iman Esfandi has been added as the live action Ezra Bridger as a part of all of this. So thoughts on that, Laura? Are you excited that we're going to get Ezra Bridger in this AHSOKA TV show, as well as if it wasn't already cool with Sabine and AHSOKA and Vader and Anakin being a part of it? Now we're going to get Ezra Bridger finally being a part of this. What are your reactions to that?
Well, first of all, the actor they cast is absolutely perfect.
I mean perfect.
Yeah. I don't know who is casting this show, but like, bravo, because he looks perfect. And I'm not familiar with his work at all, so I had to look him up on YouTube and just to see what he sounded like. And like, man, oh man, the voice is on point too. It's perfect too. It's just, they knocked it out of the park with this Ezra casting. So I'm very excited to see this play out. I'm also like, I'm not the biggest fan of Ezra Bridger as a character in Star Wars Rebels. I just find him very obnoxious, and he's not, for me, where I am in my life, a relatable character.
Right.
And I gravitated more towards the older characters in the show. And to get to see Ezra, I think at this phase in his life where this Ahsoka show is taking place, he's going to be around 30 years old. Yeah. So definitely an older, hopefully less annoying version of Ezra. I can't wait. If he's only in it for like 5 seconds just so they can like show his face or something, I don't even care, because he looks so perfect that there's no way that it's not going to totally work. I can't wait.
Any chance, I'm gonna throw this out there, any chance that we get a Freddie Prinze Jr. Force Ghost appearance. Is there any chance? Because Freddie obviously voiced the character, so is that possible, do you think? If we do if Ezra becomes like 3 or 4 episode arc here?
Oh, I think that would have to be a possibility, right?
I
mean, he didn't like burn any bridges with
no,
Lucasfilm, right? Like
people
he's
love
still
it, Freddie.
in there. Like he was in the Clone Wars, like
Yeah.
they rolled him out there to play young Caleb Duke
Yeah.
for some reason. Like
So
I
why
feel like
wouldn't he? Yeah.
there's good blood there still. So I feel
Yeah.
like I don't know. I'm not opposed to this.
I'm just throwing it out there because I mean we got Qui-Gon Jinn at the end of Kenobi. So and look, if you're watching the show and you haven't watched that, I don't know what to tell you. So there's no spoilers here. So it could be fascinating to see that because I agree with you. It could be just for 5 minutes, or it could be something a little bit longer. And if it's a little bit longer, it would be very interesting to see if there's any kind of connections there, any kind of reaching out for guidance or whatever. Because obviously, he guided him all through Rebels until what happened to him. So could be fascinating to see that as an element here. But yeah, everything looks awesome. Every time they speak about it, just gets me more excited. It's one of those series where I was like, all right, let's get it here already because I want to see what we've got. And certainly there's a lot of positive buzz around Rosario doing it. And Rosario, I think, has the greatest energy. She's so honored to play the role. She can get occasionally sucked up into certain situations because she's a fan first and foremost. And so I love that. There's an innocence in that I think is really great to see. And Rosario, another Latina actress. So to me, it's great to see how much Latin influence is being a part of Star Wars more and more. And so I'm so curious to see how this is all going to play out and if it's all going to work, right, Laura? Because I mean, people who are Rebels fans are real precious about these characters. So
yes, we are. We are indeed.
Yes,
these characters are our babies, and you cannot mess this up. And not that I ever think that Dave Filoni would.
Right.
You know, I think that this, when they say that this show is going to be his like magnum opus, do you wonder at all if like this could be like him eventually like killing Ahsoka off? Because if anybody's going to do that, he's going to take the helm of that. Like he's not going to let somebody else do that. If you're going to take her out, Dave Filoni's going to be the one to do it.
Dude, I haven't even thought about that. It didn't even occur to me that he would do that. But I mean, of course, if anyone's going to do it, it's got to be him.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know that they haven't said that this is a multiple season series. So it could very well be just one season. And we don't see Ahsoka, anywhere else in the original trilogy. So maybe she does. And that may be the way they explain it in the end. Does Anakin take her out in the end, or does she sacrifice herself to save certain people in the end at the lightsaber at the tip of Anakin's lightsaber? I don't know, but damn, I never even thought about the fact that he might kill her off. Oh my God!
I'm very sorry to bring this up.
Yeah, no, but I think people will lose their minds. Lose their minds if it happens.
Yeah, but they started filming in like early May. They've been filming for 4 months. You have to think that they're probably going to be wrapping up soon.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we don't know how many episodes this is going to be, but I would get, we've been averaging about 8 for a lot of these Star Wars series, so that's probably a good estimate. I would think they've got to be done soon. And if they are, I'm like, they turned around Kenobi, I feel like, pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
When they finished filming. That I feel like the sort of post-production of it wasn't very long. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I'm kind of hoping that we can get this Ahsoka show really soon.
That behind the scenes video or documentary on Disney Plus is fantastic. I can't recommend it enough for people to watch. Just the one scene they released was so great of Hayden saying how Ewan stayed on set to be able to see him from 300 feet away, just to have the energy there. Such a sweetness in that moment for sure. All right, we're running out of time, so let's jump into the last thing here. The Mandalorian season 3, right, Laura? This is we got some nice. We got a trailer that people got to see at Star Wars Celebration. Now everyone's has seen this trailer now and seen where we're going, and certainly the armor is a big deal here, and Bo-Katan a big deal here as well. And I've heard the tease that a hero will become a villain. That's what I keep hearing, the buzz of that. So what did you think about all of this?
I have been riding high on the amount of Bo-Katan content that was shown at Star Wars Celebration
Yeah.
since Celebration. And I am so excited that everybody else now finally got to see this Mandalorian footage in this trailer, because the amount of time that she is actually in this trailer and the amount of like speaking she does, I'm just like, I feel like she has to be such a key component of season 3, and I'm very excited. I am I'll be very interested to see how people react, because it's been a while since we talked about it, but a lot of people, I think, who didn't watch the Book of Boba Fett are going to be very confused.
Well,
If
good
they do
points.
not, yeah, go back and watch Book of Boba Fett. If you are walking away from the Mandalorian and you don't, you don't, catch up on what happened with the reunion with him and Grogu, I'm like, it's going to cause a lot of confusion. So I'll be really curious to see how they handle that. If there's maybe another push, in terms of marketing to get people to watch Book of Boba Fett. I've certainly been informing all of the people that I know that are like very casual Mandalorian fans, watchers, and just be like, there's like 3 episodes you're
Yeah.
going to have to go watch, or you're going to be very confused. So put the word out there to your friends, to your Star Wars friends. Don't let them all come into this show as confused as they potentially could be.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, I really, I don't know where this is going to go, and that's what makes me excited about season 3. Because is it the armor? I mean, they're building it up like the armor is the one that turns on him. You are no longer a Mandalorian. You took off your helmet. Or is it Bo-Katan, who we've seen in the past be quite obsessive about that dark saber? Certainly, she was upset at the end of season 2 that she did not walk out with that dark saber in the end. And what has to happen? So, is she going to fabricate a fight with the Mandalorian so that she can get the dark saber? Or will there be something else that happens? So, her saying, you think your dad was the only Mandalorian, talking to Grogu. So, there's so much to see. And we're not going to get some of the her crew from the second season of Mandalorian. Mercedes Varnado, Sasha Banks, for you WWE fans, not coming back to reprise the character, from what I understand, in season 3. So, who are the new Mandalorians that are going to be part of her crew? And her saying in the trailer, it was your cult that you were a part of, that separated us in Mandalorian. Is that true? And once again, throwing this out there, the real world implications of using that word cult. People have become obsessed with cult documentaries in the COVID times and sitting at home during lockdowns. And of course, people have described certain political movements as cults. So there's a lot of real world connections to what you're seeing on the screen that I think are going to be there for people to pick up if you want to pick up on them. It'll work on the surface level, I feel like, but also there are going to be little messages if you want to pick them up, and symbolism going on that I think is there for people to consume. So much of this excites me because it's Mandalore, and it seems like we're going to be spending a lot of time on Mandalore from what we saw in the trailer, Laura.
Exactly. I think we're going to spend a lot of time on Mandalore, and we're going to maybe meet a bunch of new Mandalorians, because there is that scene in the trailer where they're skydiving and
they're jumping
jetpacking out of whatever dropship that is. And I think that there's like 6 Mandos in that trailer total. And I don't think Din Djarin's one of them. So there's going to be some new faces in this show, and I'm really excited. But we have a very exciting 5 months ahead of us when it comes to Star Wars. And that doesn't even include the Ahsoka show or the Acolyte or Skeleton Crew, because those are all TBD in terms of their release dates. But it's going to be a busy 5 months, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Plus the comic books and the books that are getting released, like The Princess and the Scoundrel, and other books that have been released already, the audio dramas you've been referencing. So there's so much to be coming as a Star Wars fan to be enjoying. And D23 just kind of got people all hyped up all over again to keep that train going into next year, Laura, where we go to London for Star Wars Celebration. So that's going to be a fun experience as well, to see what new things are going to be shown there. Will we get even more footage? Will we get a Ahsoka trailer at that Star Wars Celebration, or new footage that we haven't gotten yet? Because I imagine we'll get a trailer before Star Wars Celebration for Ahsoka, and then maybe there'll be some footage there as well. So there's a lot here to still consume and enjoy, as Laura said. So we're looking forward to it. Well, we hope you enjoyed this breakdown of the D23 stuff and some of the breaking news that have happened in the world of Star Wars and the universe of Star Wars. We appreciate you all hanging out with us on the Jedi Way. Let us know what you thought about all the stuff we talked about, what your opinions are. Did Laura shake you to your core about the end of Ahsoka? Is it possible that Ahsoka will be written off or killed off by Dave Filoni? What do you think about my man Caleb Doom coming back to maybe be a Force ghost for Bridger or Ezra. What do you think? Let us know what you thought of all that down in the comments section below. Laura, another fun show. Please let people, any final words, and please let people know where they can find everything you're doing.
No, I would really need them to do an Ahsoka show or an Ahsoka trailer at Celebration, because
Okay.
that hotel is so expensive that I'm going to be staying in. That booking was just it. You guys got to make it worth my while. So I'm going to leave it at that. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at @shutup_Laura. That's my handle. It's the same on Instagram. The show that I host with my friend Alice is called Force Toast to Star Wars Happy Hour, where we drink wine and talk about Star Wars. And I just recently joined my buddy Sal from the Rogue Rebels podcast, where we did a deep dive into Star Wars Princess and the Scoundrel. So if you want to hear me talk about that book in more depth, you can go check that out in his podcast feed. That's the Rogue Rebels podcast.
Awesome. As for me, you can always find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, The Outlaw Nation on Twitch. Please remember to subscribe to the channel down below. We get thousands of you watching this show, so we appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel down below and hit that bell button so you see when we're dropping all the content we do here on The Outlaw Nation, The Geek Buddies, The Outlaw Nation Show, The Hot Mic, John and Wendy's show, and of course, The Jedi Way. So much we do here on the channel for you all to enjoy, plus the reviews and the trailer reactions. All of it is happening, and there's more to come for sure. So please subscribe down below. As I said, leave a comment, hit a like on this video, and share this video on your social media. Get more Star Wars people to take a chance on our show. Put that hashtag The Jedi Way on there when you share it so people know where to come and enjoy this show as well. All right, we're out of here. Laura, what do we have to tell them?
Until next time, remember, your focus determines your reality.